Right, so
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning. Morning.
Before we do anything, I guess we better open that service with prayer. Lord, I thank you for this day. Lord, just help us and guide us. Be with the ones that are here, the ones that are sick. Be with Brother Wade. Lord, just bring them home safely, Lord. And just help me, Lord, to say what I have to say this morning. I ask in Jesus' name. Amen. You okay with me this morning? I'm kind of a little bit under the weather, so if I kind of go like this and blow my nose, forgive me. Okay.
It's okay.
It's all right.
Everybody does that.
Today I want to continue my thought on vision, dreams, and dimensions. So I might read a couple of more scriptures and quotes that I think I didn't read. And Brother Donnie did a good job last week.
Yeah.
And so did Brother Tim Cross.
Yes.
He did a very good job. So I thank the Lord for the fivefold ministry.
Amen.
If we all want to get out of here, we all have to do our part.
Right.
So as small as I am, I'm going to try to do my part. Okay, I think last time I didn't read this on your little paper over here, that the ones you all got. So I'm going to read that first. He said, look at here, friends. Let me give this illustration. I've not done it before. What color is that shirt? It's white. Anyone that's got sight knows that shirt's white. He said, you have 5 senses of the body: see, taste, feel, smell, hear. Now, none of these will declare God. When God made man, he made him in his image instead of man's. And he put him in a 5 sense to contact his earthly home, not to contact God with. Those senses don't declare God. They declare the earthly home where the man had to contact his earthly home. He had to see, taste, feel, smell, hear. He said, by faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You did not see it, taste it, feel it, smell it, or hear it, but you believe it. That's from the message, faith without works is dead. There's a couple of scriptures that I missed last time, so let's go to Numbers 24:1. Numbers 24:1. And when Balaam saw that he pleased the Lord to bless Israel, he went not as other times to seek for enchantment, but he set his face toward the wilderness. And Balaam lifted up his eyes and saw Israel abide in his tents according to their tribes, and the Spirit of God came upon him. And he took up his parable and said, Balaam the son of Beor had said, and the man whose eyes are open had said, he had said, which heard the words of God, which saw the vision of the Almighty, falling into a trance, but having his eyes open. Last time I kind of went a little fast and did a lot of quotes, so if anybody has any comments or something, just Brother Donnie said he had a few comments, but I was on a roll and I didn't give him a chance to say anything. Huh?
I'm sure you go ahead. You did a fine job.
No.
Go ahead. Fourth dimension.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, let's go to Daniel 8:18 through 19.
Daniel what, 18 through 19?
Daniel 8:19 through 8:18 through 11. Sorry. 8:18 through 11.
What?
Daniel 8, 18 to 11.
You can have 18
Daniel
through
18,
11,
that's the
Why
one.
not?
because 18 comes before 11.
11 comes
18
before
first.
18.
18, 19, oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, okay. Well, let's go to, let's do Daniel 18 through 19. And as he was speaking with me, I was in deep sleep on my face toward the ground, but he touched me and set me upright. And he said, Behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of the indignation, for at the time appointed the end shall be. Okay, it's Daniel 10, 7 through 11, to 11. Yeah, that's one. Well, see, you'll help me out. 10:7. And I, Daniel, also saw the vision, for the men that were with me saw not the vision, but a great quaking fell upon them, so that they fled to hid themselves. Therefore I was left alone and saw this great vision, and there remained no strength in me. For my comeliness was turned in me into corruption, and I retained no strength. Yet heard I the voice of his words, and when I heard the voice of his words, then was I in a deep sleep on my face, and my face towards the ground. And behold, a hand touched me, which set me upon my knees and upon the palms of my hands. And he said unto me, O Daniel, a man greatly beloved, understand the words that I speak unto thee, and stand upright, for unto thee I am now sent. And when he had spoken these words unto me, I stood trembling. I got a couple of quotes from God's power to transform, Brother Branham says, every move and the thoughts of the heart is recorded right in another dimension. He said, even the colors of your clothes you wear, television color, television proves it right out. It pulls it out and shows it, see, and that's just in one dimension from the three that we live in, see. And he also said, look at Christ standing back here and David. David couldn't even think now. His mind had gone from him, as it were. And he was hanging on the cross, like you see this statue here, hanging on the cross, crying, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? On my bones they stared me, they pierced my hands and feet, they trusted my side. See, why art thou so far from me? All the bulls of Bethlehem passed by, they wagged their heads, saying, he trusted in God that he would deliver him. Now let's see if he will deliver him. Speaking the same word, so you see, when God was made manifested on earth, he said the same words David did. You get it? So you see it. It's not the word of a man, it's the word of God. That was God and David. That wasn't David. He didn't know what he was saying. He was just so in the spirit that's the way Moses was. He was so in the spirit, passed out of the dimension that he was living in, and stood there face to face in that burning bush talking to God himself. Said, take off your shoes. The ground you're standing on is holy ground. He said, I imagine when Moses left there, he thought, what happened? What taken place? What was it?
Right. Sir.
And the message beyond the curtain of time, Brother Branham says, I don't know if this one has anything to do with it, but I like this one. He says, there, as we just got through speaking here a few weeks ago on how that the human system operates, how that there's 5 senses that you enter the body by, and then 5 avenues, we call it, 5 avenues, such as the conscious, imagination, and so forth. We enter the soul by. And then when you enter the spirit, there's only one avenue, and that is through self-will, which bases it back like man was created. You can receive it, or you can just let it go. you can accept Christ as a Savior, or you just let Him go, and you're still by that tree, that one of life and one of death. Every human being is set before that tree or God. God would be unjust to put one there and then not give the other one the equal chance to choose right or wrong. And each one of us has that opportunity. Amen? Acts 10:9. Sorry, I cut your sleep up. Oh,
No
okay.
sleep too. He thought he was just probably asleep. I thought he was asleep. Acts 10. I'm awake. I'm awake.
Okay. Okay.
I just did Olivia's. I'm awake.
Acts 10:9. On the morrow, as they went on their journey and drew nigh unto the city, Peter went up unto the housetop to pray about the 6th hour. I just keep going on 10 to 16. And he became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance, and saw heaven open, and a certain vessel descended unto him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the four corners, and led down to the earth, wherein were all manner of four-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Peter, kill and eat. But Peter said, Not so, Lord, for I have never eaten anything that is uncommon or unclean. And the voice spoke unto him again the second time, What God had cleansed, that call not thou common. This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again unto heaven. Let's see. Yeah, that's it. Now I've been trying to get on Joseph, so I'm going to start on Joseph today. So we're going to go to Genesis 37. If you got a Schofield Bible on the bottom, Brother Herm said Joseph was a type of Christ, and Schofield picks it up on the bottom on page 53 if you have the Schofield Bible. It says, well, it's nowhere asserted that Joseph was a type of Christ. The analogies are too numerous to be accidental. They are both were special objects of a father's love. Genesis 37:3, Matthew 3:17, John 3:35, or it goes on and on. It said both were hated by their brethren. Genesis 37, John 15. The superior claims of both were rejected. See, our brethren are both conspired against them to slay them. Genesis 37. Joseph was an intent and figure slain by his brother, as was Christ. Each became a blessing among the Gentiles and gained a Gentile bride. As Joseph reconciled his brother to himself and afterward exalted them, so will be with Christ and his Jewish brethren. Jacob had 12 sons, which it's also called the 12 tribes of Israel. And the names of all the sons was Reuben, Simon, Levi, Judah, Dan, Naphtali, Gad, Asher, Ishar, Zebulun, Joseph, and Benjamin. Okay, let's go to 37. Let's start at 37:1. And Jacob dwelt in the land where his father was a stranger in the land of Canaan. These are the generations of Jacob. Joseph, being 17 years old, was feeding the flock with his brother, and the lad was with the sons of Bilhah and with his sons of Zilpah, his father's wives, and Joseph brought unto his father their evil report. Now, I wanted to go into Joseph because I think he was one of the biggest dreamers in the Bible. I mean, the whole thing talks about him dreaming about this and this and that, you know. So. Now Israel loved Joseph more than all his children because he was the son of his old age, and he made him a coat of many colors. Also, he loved Benjamin too. How come he didn't make him a coat of many colors? I guess because he was a younger one or something. And when his brothers saw that their father loved him more than all his brother, they hated him and could not speak peacefully unto him. One brother is enough to hate you, but you got 11 brothers hating you. So. And Joseph dreamed a dream, and he told it his brethren, and they hated him yet the more. And he said unto them, Hear, I pray you, this dream which I have dreamed. For behold, we are binding sheaves in the field, and lo, my sheaf arose and also stood upright, and behold, your sheaves stood round about and made obedience to my sheaf. And his brethren said unto him, Shalt thou indeed reign over us, or shalt thou indeed have a dominion over us? And they hated him yet the more for his dreams and for his words. Now, how more can you hate him? More and more and more. And he dreamed yet another dream, and it told his brethren, and said, Behold, I have dreamed, and dreamed more, and behold, the sun and the moon and 11 stars made a vision. Obedience to me. And he told it to his father and to his brother, and his father rebuked him and said unto him, What is this dream, and thou hast dreamed? Shall I and thy mother and thy brother indeed come to bow down ourselves to thee, to the earth? And his brethren envied him, but his father observed the saying. And his brother went to feed their father's flock in Shechem, and Israel said unto Joseph, Do not thy brethren feed the flock in Shechem? Come, and I will send thee unto them. And he said unto him, Here I am. And he said to him, Go, I pray thee, see whether it be well with thy brother and well with thy flocks, and bring me word again. So he sent him out of the Baal of Hebron, and he came to Shechem. And a certain man found him, and behold, he was wandering in the field. And the man asked him, saying, What seekest thou? And he said, I seek my brother. Tell me, I pray thee, where they feed their flocks. And the man said, They are departed hence, for I hear them say, Let us go to Dothan. And Joseph went after his brother and found them in Dothan. And when they saw him afar off, even before he came near unto them, they conspired against him to slay him. And they said one to another, Behold, this dreamer cometh. Come now, therefore, let us slay him and cast him unto some pit, and we will say, Some evil beast had devoured him, and we shall see what it will become of his dreams. And Reuben, which is his older brother, said, and Reuben heard it, and he delivered him out of their hands, and said, Let us not kill him. And Reuben said unto them, Shed no blood, but cast him unto the pit that is in the wilderness, and lay no hand upon him, that he might rid him out of their hands, to deliver him to his father again. And it came to pass, when Joseph was come unto his brethren, they stripped Joseph out of his coat of many colors that was on him, and they took him and cast him into a pit, and the pit was empty, there was no water in it. And they sat down to eat bread, and they lifted up their eyes and looked, and behold, a company Ishmaelites came from Gilead with their camels bearing spicery, balm, and myrrh, going to carry down to Egypt. And Judah said unto his brethren, What profit is it we slay our brother and conceal his blood? Come and let us sell him to Ishmaelites, let not our hand be upon him, for he is our brother and our flesh, and his brethren were contact. Just like Christ was sold for 30 pieces of silver, so they sold Joseph too. That's why he's a type of Christ.
That's right.
Then there passed by the Midianites merchantmen, and they drew and lifted up Joseph out of the pit and sold Joseph to the Ishmaelites for 20 pieces of silver, and they brought Joseph unto Egypt. And Reuben returned unto the pit, and behold, Joseph was not in the pit, and he rented his clothes. I guess his older brother cared a little bit about him. So at least had 10 and a half brothers that hated him. And they took Joseph's coat, and they killed a kid of goats, and dipped the coat in the blood, and they sent the coat many colors, and they brought it to their father and said, This have we found, know now whether it be thy son's coat or not. And he knew it and said, It is my son's coat. An evil beast hath devoured him. Joseph is without doubt rent in pieces. And Jacob rent his clothes, and put sackcloth upon his loins, and mourned for his son many days. And all his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted, and he said, For I will go down into the grave unto my son, mourning. Thus his father wept for him. And the Midianites sold him into Egypt, into Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, and the captain of the guard. Let's go to chapter 39, because chapter 38 talks about Judah and Tamar and all that, and a lot of preachers talk different stuff, so I'm not going to get in the middle of all that. I'm staying out of that. Joseph was brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, an officer of the Pharaoh, captain of that guard, an Egyptian, bought him out of the hands of the Ishmaelites, which had brought him down thither. And the Lord was with Joseph, and he was a prosperous man, and he was in the house of his master, the Egyptian. And his master saw that the Lord was with him, and that the Lord made all that he did to prosper in his hand. And Joseph found grace in his sight, and he served him, and he made him overseer over his house, and all that he had put into his hand. And it came to pass from that time that he made him overseer in the house, and over all that he had, that the Lord blessed the Egyptian's house for Joseph's sake. And the blessing of the Lord was upon all that he did in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in Joseph's hand. And he knew not aught he had, save the bread which he did eat. And Joseph was a godly person and well favored. And it came to pass after these things that his master's wife cast her eyes upon Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused and said unto his master's wife, Behold, my master would not what is with me in the house, and he had committed all that he had to my hand. And there is none greater in this house than I, neither had he kept back anything from me, but thee, because thou art his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? He didn't say against Potiphar, he said it against God. And it came to pass as she spake to Joseph day by day, that he hearkened not unto her, to lie by her, to be with her. And it came to pass about this time that Joseph went into the house to do his business, and there was none of the men of the house there with him. And she caught him by his garment, saying, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and flee, and got him out. And it came to pass, when she saw that he had left his garment in her hand and was flee forth, that she called unto the men of her house, and he spake unto them, saying, See, he had brought in an Hebrew unto us to mock us. He came in to me to lie with me, and I cried with a loud voice, Lie, lie, lie. Sorry. And it came to pass, when he heard that I lifted my voice and cried, that he left, and she laid up his garment by her until his Lord came home. And she spake unto him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew servant which thou hast brought unto us came in to me to mock me. And it came to pass, I lifted up my voice and cried, that he left his garment with me and flee out. And it came to pass, when his master heard the words of his wife, which she spake unto him, saying, After this manner did thy servant to me, that this wrath was kindled. And Joseph's master took him and put him into the prison and place where the king's prisoners were bound, and he was there in the prison. But the Lord was with Joseph, and showed him mercy, and gave him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. And the keeper of the prison committed to Joseph's hand all the prisoners that were in the prison. And whatsoever they did there, he was the doer of it. The keeper of the prison looked not to anything that was under his hand, because the Lord was with him, and that which he did, the Lord made it to prosper.
Amen.
Let's see if we can do one more chapter. And it came to pass after these things, that the butler of the king of Egypt and his baker had offended the Lord, the king of Egypt. And Pharaoh was wroth against two of his officers, against the chief of the butlers and against the chief of the bakers. And he put them in a ward in the house of the captain of the guard, into the prison, the place where Joseph was bound. And the captain of the guard charged Joseph with them, and he served them, and they continue his season in the ward. And they dream a dream, both of them, each man his dream in one night, each man according to their interpretation of his dream, the butler and the baker of the king of Egypt, which were bound in prison. And Joseph came unto them in the morning, and looked upon them, behold, they were sad. And he asked Pharaoh's officers that were with him in the ward of his Lord's house, saying, Wherefore look you so sadly today? And they said unto him, We have dreamed a dream, and there is no interpretation of it. And Joseph said unto them, Do not interpretations belong to God? Tell me then, I pray you. And the chief butler told his dream to Joseph, and he said to him, In my dream, behold, a vine was before me, and in the vine were 3 branches, and it was as though it had budded, and her blossoms shot forth, and the clusters thereof brought forth ripe grapes. And Pharaoh's cup was in my hand, and took the grapes, and pressed them into Pharaoh's cup. And I gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand. And Joseph said unto him, This is the interpretation of it, the 3 branches are 3 days, yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head, and restore thee unto thy place. And thou shalt deliver Pharaoh's cup into his hand after the former manner where thou hast wasted his butler. But think on me when it shall be well with thee, and show kindness, I pray thee, unto me, and make mention of me unto Pharaoh, and bring me out of this house. For indeed I was stolen away out of the land of the Hebrews, and here also I have done nothing that they should put me into a dungeon. And when the chief baker saw that the interpretation was good, he said unto Joseph, I also was in my dream, and behold, I had 3 white baskets on my head. In the uppermost basket there was all manner of baked meats for the Pharaoh, and the birds did eat them out of the basket upon my head. And Joseph answered and said, This is the interpretation thereof. the 3 baskets are 3 days. Yet within 3 days shall Pharaoh lift up thy head from thee, and shall hang thee on a tree, and the birds shall eat thy flesh from off of thee. And it came to pass the 3rd day, which was Pharaoh's birthday, that he made a feast unto all the servants, and he lifted up the head of the chief butler and the chief baker among his servants, and restored the chief butler unto his butlership again, and he gave the cup into Pharaoh's hand, but he hung the chief baker, and as Joseph interpreted to him, yet did not the chief butler remember Joseph, but forget him. So again, the chief baker said, that's pretty good. But then Joseph tells him, well, I got bad news for you. You're going to be hung in 3 days. Just like when Jesus got crucified, one was saved and one was lost. So I guess the better. Thank you. Good news for one, bad news for the other.
That's right.